struggling. I mean, they are not having a good year at all. They are currently 2-5 on the season and just lost to the Sacramento Kings, giving the Sacramento Kings their first win of the season. It's not so much about losing to Sacramento. It's just this team doesn't seem to have enough. And this was something that I was saying even before the season began, that I really thought the Miami Heat were one of those teams that were really going to take a step back. I don't think that they improved. They, if anything, got worse. I really think the loss of PJ Tucker really hurt this team, in its toughness and just having that versatile defender. But also, they don't have that other guy. Like, Tyler Herro is a great scorer. Like, he can put up points and stuff, but he's not a guy that can take over and help control a game, right? Like, Jimmy Butler, we saw last season. Like, Jimmy Butler had to put up, 40 points for this team to succeed. And that's a big problem that I was talking about. Like, this team is just only getting older. They don't have the depth and the talent. They don't really have any assets to that are really movable outside of Tyler Herro to kind of turn the franchise around. And they're just in a really tough spot from an organizational standpoint and just a player standpoint. This team, I just don't think has the talent to compete with some of the upper teams, and they could be the odd man out this season. They could be the ones that are looking at a play-in spot. I just think that there are so many teams that are better than them. Like, I think, definitely the Bucks, the Celtics easily are better than them. The Sixers, if they start getting their act together, I think that they have more talent. The Cavs, the Hawks, I think all of these teams, you can make an argument, are just better than the Miami Heat. I think the Miami Heat are a middle-of-the-pack team. Like, I really think Miami is, at best, a 6 seed. And they're playing as such. They don't have all of the intangibles that you need to be successful, right? I mean, your second best player is Bam Adebayo, and he's not like the second best player on a championship team. He's just not. Like, as great as he can be at times, he's very limited. He's a guy that has moments. He's a solid player. I'm not saying that Bam is terrible or anything like that, but he's not. Like, if he's your second best player on the court and he's the guy that you're counting on to lead the charge night in and night out, you're probably not a very good team, right? Like, he's not like a top 10-5 guy in the league. Even Jimmy Butler, I mean, they don't have a top 15 talent on their roster, and not saying that you absolutely have to have that, but they need to have multiple guys that can come out, deliver, and on a night-to-night basis. You can't have a guy that's your second option, like a Bam Adebayo, that gives you, 10 points. It just is not going to help. And again, Tyler Herro is a great scorer, but Tyler Herro isn't a number 1 or number 2 option again on a championship team. He's like a 3 or 4 option. He's better suited as a 6th man, especially for a team like Miami. Like, that's why he was so great off the bench, because he provided so much bench scoring for the Miami Heat. And now you have Tyler Herro in the starting lineup. You're losing that bench scoring, and you don't have anybody that can kind of replicate that bench scoring, right? I mean, take the Sacramento Kings, for example, the game last night. I mean, you had Strus, who had 11 points, and then outside of that, Vincent and Udonis Haslem both had 3 points. After that, Duncan Robinson had 2. So you basically got, you got 18 points from your bench. I mean, Tyler Herro by himself was giving you more than that on a nightly basis. Tyler Herro put up 34 points. Again, great scoring, great stats, but he's not a guy that can control a game. You need those guys that can control and sort of dictate a game. And Jimmy Butler is like, I've always said, like, Jimmy Butler to me is like the perfect complement star. Like, if Jimmy Butler is your second best player, you're probably a really good team. They need a proven bona fide scorer. Like, Tyler Herro, again, I know some people are going to say, well, he's a proven scorer. He's a guy. Yes, but he's not, he doesn't have the impact that a guy like, like a Kyrie Irving or a Kevin Durant or somebody like that can have on a team, right? Though, like, if they could go and trade, which they're not going to be able to, but if they could, for whatever reason, be able to go and trade for Kevin Durant, like, I think this team would be fantastic. Like, if you could, for whatever reason, trade Tyler Herro, maybe Kyle Lowry and whoever, throw in some pieces. If you had a bunch of firsts, stuff like that, and let's say for whatever reason that they would have that, then now you have that number 1 option. And it might not even need to be, say a Kevin Durant. Like, if they would have went and got like Donovan Mitchell even, I think that would have been a guy. Like, you have a proven scorer that we've seen that can really, like, change the pace and control a game, not to, like, an elite level, but better than Tyler Herro can. Like, Tyler Herro is like a vacuum scorer, right? He's not really out there, navigating and just, trying to control and dictate a game. He's out there just like, let me jack this shot up. He's shooting, 13 to 22. He's a shot chucker, right? He's a guy that you got the ball, which is what you want, which is what you need. But that's why he was perfect off the bench, because you could allow him to do that and it didn't really hurt. They need another proven guy. They need another guy that can come in and really kind of change and impact the game in a positive manner. Because Jimmy Butler, you can't expect Jimmy Butler to go out there and give you 30 night in and night out. Like, he's only getting older. It's just a tough ask for any player, let alone a team that doesn't really have any other support. And look, again, Bam Adebayo, he's great. He's averaging, I think, like 22 a game right now, but he's not that impact guy. He's not that guy that you can count on to control and again, they got a bunch of number 2 and number 3 options playing as number 1 and number 2 options. And that's my issue, is that they don't have that, like, bona fide, here's my number 1 option. And look, I'm somebody that is absolutely huge and high on Jimmy Butler. I love Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is hands down one of my favorite players. He is incredible, but he's not a natural gifted scorer. He is just so stubborn and just strong and determined and willed that he'll just generate you a bucket. He'll just, out of pure determination, get to the basket, use the strength, and finish, right? Like, that's a guy you get. And he's great in that sense. He's a guy that can go get you, we've seen, can get you 20 to 30 a night if you need him to. But he's not a naturally gifted scorer. He's not a Kyrie Irving, a Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker. Like, I'll just go get you a bucket. Jimmy Butler has to work for those buckets, right? And I think Jimmy Butler, like, if they could find a way to go get another star, go get another guy, I really think this team could be just light years better. Because if Jimmy Butler can now be your number 2, one, Jimmy Butler doesn't care about his stats. He just wants to win. That's all he cares about. He'll put up 0-0-0 if he helps his team win and plays solid defense. Like, that, he is about as unselfish of a star as it gets. But he could go get you the points and the buckets and the rebounds and the assists and whatever you need him to get. He can do that. He's capable of that. But to ask him to do that night in and night out as the sole guy, basically, you're in a tough spot. Where if you got a number 1 option, now Butler's your number 2, Bam Adebayo's your number 3, they're going to give you much better production. They're going to be able to impact the game so much more. Now you have Tyler Herro back in a bench role. Unfortunately, they'd probably have to trade Tyler Herro, but let's just say that they, whatever, they were able to just sign a tier guy with this team that they had, like, then, or if they could move Kyle Lowry or something like that, like, now you have that bench scoring, you have your sort of 3 guys that can really impact the game, and then some solid role guys. But the problem is like, right now you got 3 guys that aren't really number 1 impact guys on a championship team. They don't have that solidified number 1 option, and they don't have enough of the role depth, high elite caliber role guys to make up for, the lack of, like, star talent, right? Because we've seen teams like, take like the Detroit Pistons, right? Take the Detroit Pistons when they won the championship. They didn't have any, like, bona fide superstars, right? But they had a bunch of guys that were like elite level role guys. They had like several guys that were your Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo level guys that could really make an impact on the court, on the game. You had guys that could all play defense. They had elite defenses, stuff like that. Like, take, Dallas, like when Dallas won. Yeah, they had Dirk Nowitzki, who was like, just playing out of his mind. But they had just such great role players and guys that have been there and just guys that could contribute night in and night out on a consistent high level basis. So you got a lot of production from several different guys, right? And you had those elite level, number 2, number 3 guys, right? Like, I don't see Miami as having those guys. I see Miami as like Jimmy Butler is a number 2, having to play number 1. Bam Adebayo is a number 3, having to play number 2. Tyler Herro is better served as your 6th man, just a vacuum scorer that can go get you 30 a night off the bench. Kyle Lowry is not the same Kyle Lowry. Like, he's solid, but not for the money he's making. He's not worth and putting the production out of his contract. And they overpaid him because they wanted him so badly. And it's in my opinion, it's really blowing up in his face. I mean, Kyle Lowry's averaging like 10 points a game this season. I mean, take the last few games, right? Against Toronto. He had 7 points and 2 assists. He was 1 of 8 in like 37 minutes, whatever that was. Like, that's not good production for a guy that you're paying all that money to in Kyle Lowry. The game that they beat the Blazers, right? Everybody looked solid. It was an even contribution, right? You had Lowry with 17, Butler had 17, Adebayo had 18, Tyler Herro had 14, Martin had 16, Strus came off the bench with 16, you had other bench guys that all contributed. They had, 30 plus points from the bench against the Blazers, and they won that game because they got the production from everybody. It was a collective effort night in and night out. The problem is, I don't believe that they have the guys that can do that night in and night out. Like, I just don't. I don't think that they're guys that can really kind of control and dictate the game night in and night out. They don't have the bench depth that can give you 30 points a game off the bench night in and night out. They're not as good defensively this year, night in and night out. And I think some of that is just, they're tired. Some of that is that they're older. Some of that is they don't have PJ Tucker, because the value that Tucker had, just bringing that toughness, that switchability, that defense, all of that, like, that really helped and contributed to this team. And you were able to move Tyler Herro to the bench and have him be your 6th man and give you some provided scoring, right? Well, now Tyler Herro wants to be the main guy. He wants to be the starter. And I just don't think that he helps. I don't think he changes the Miami Heat, whether he's a starter or off the bench. I think he's better off the bench if you have a quality guy in his place that can help impact the starting lineup, because he's giving you the same production. He's giving you the same type of scoring and potential in a bench role as he is as a starter. So the impact is exactly the same, but the impact on the overall games becomes so much greater because he's no longer starting and giving you 30. He's coming off the bench and giving you 30. So he's playing a bench role. It's just a bigger, different elements and aspects in general. So I really have a lot of concerns with Miami, and I just don't think that they're a team that is going to all of a sudden turn it around. I don't. I think they're a middle of the pack team this year, and I don't think that they're going to be very good. I think at best they're a 6th seed in the East, because the East is not the same East it once was. It's not even the same East it was last year. So many teams got so much better, right? And I think Miami didn't really make any improvements. They lost guys. I think, they're only a year older. They're tired, and I don't think that they're going to have it in them to have a good, successful year. I just don't. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think this team can turn it around? Do you think that no, they're in trouble? However you feel, good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below.